So I'm Jennifer Foster. I've spent 25 to 30 years studying how people, humans, really work on a deep level beneath the biology of stuff, how we actually work. You could say on a quantum level, um, but it's looking at the energy and the information, how we work from an energy and information viewpoint. And I've written a couple of books about this, and I've also made a sculpture. And I'm going to use the sculpture today to illustrate to you what is happening to us um, over time. And I'm going to start from my childhood. I'm a Gen X, and I remember what it was like to still be able to function as a human being as we were supposed to work. Not perfectly, obviously. And I'm going to show you what's been happening over the last, I don't know, 30, 40, no, 50 years, what's been happening over the last 50 years and what this is doing to us as human beings. There's a lot being said about AI, and AI is AI, but there's not much being said on how this is affecting us, except from a mind point of view and from a work point of view. And I'm going to show you how this is affecting us, not just AI, but the last 50 years, what this has done to us as a human being from our core way. All right, now I'm going to use this sculpture. So there's a stick in the middle of this sculpture, and this stick represents who you are. And this stick is, you could call your soul, you could call your antennae. It's what measures what's happening around you, given who you are. It's your ruler. It's what your brain uses as a ruler. So there's the stick. There's lots more to this. I've got an online academy called the Energy Dynamic Model Academy. Links below. Feel free to have a look. But anyway, so this stick is your core self. And these white words is kind of what we go around, generally speaking. This is our mind. So, hopefully we have a bit of success. I do, you do stuff, you know stuff. I am, you are. We create change together in a kind and humble way. I can. And that's kind of what the human experience is like, or was like, that we know what we're doing. We can create change. We do create change every second, actually, just by being here. But we can also create conscious change by what we do with our work, with our children, in the garden. That's what we do as human beings. We create change, and we do that in a kind and humble way. Our mind is quiet, and you're able to do it. You're able to do it physically and mentally. So as we're going about our day, what happens is we gather up feelings associated with this. And these feelings are written here. So at the very bottom, we have love and care, safety and health. So as we are being in a kind and humble way to ourselves and others, that's love and care. We feel safe enough to do stuff. I can, and we're healthy enough to do it. That's it. Then the next four are what I call your personality power needs. So it's where you get your identity, your feelings of belonging, meaning and purpose. And if we look at the words here, it's I am, and we create change. So as you're going about your day, you're getting meaning and purpose based on who you are, and it's giving you a sense of this. And then up here is expression and expression. And what's that one? Understanding. So if we are in an environment where we can do us, we can do who we are, and we understand what's going on, we also get these good feelings as well. So what's happened in the last 50 years is that we were able to do that. We were able to go along in our world, that we were all pretty full with good feelings, doing our thing. But the first thing that happened was these four started to go. And that was because we started to do work that was all about money. And because we started to do jobs that were about money, not about what they were doing, not about are they aligned with my talents, are they aligned with my learning style, are they aligned with how I express myself? Instead of looking at that, we decided to all get good careers and chase the money, especially women, because I was one of the first generations really who was fully encouraged and supported to be equal to men and to go to work and get a good career. I'm not saying this is wrong, by the way. I'm just describing what has happened. So so people started to get their meaning and purpose and their belonging and their identity from their work. And if this wasn't in line with who they are, they started to lose these feelings. But what they did gain was this one here is the mind. They did gain lots of success, and they did get what I call lots of money, lots of ticks. So this basically compensated for these lost feelings. So as a human being, because if we have all these good feelings, we're quite resilient. And as we lose more and more of these feelings, we become much more reliant on what we're getting the replacement experience from. So if I'm not feeling in myself meaning and purpose, I will look for it somewhere else through my job. So I then become reliant on my job to give me that meaning and purpose, normally through my role and through the money and the status. Okay, so I don't have purpose and meaning from within myself. I have purpose and meaning because when I'm at work, I'm really in charge. I get lots of money. I tell people what to do and they look up at me, and that's my role and that's my identity. So this is what happened a lot in the, say, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, okay, and 20s. That's what happened a lot. Then came, and I was doing lots of work then, and I was explaining this to people then, and I was saying that we really need to start to make sure that what we're doing all day is in line with our stick self. So we do get these feelings from within ourselves as well as money. So instead of doing a job just for the money, I don't know, I can't think of one. I don't know, say being a computer salesman, say you hated computers, but you were a computer salesman just for the money. Say you decided I'm going to be a gardener because you love flowers. So you still have money, but you feel good because you're doing your stick self, what your stick self is. Okay, right. Then 2020 hit with all this lockdown shenanigans. And what that did, so these are getting very weak now. These are getting very weak. So all this lockdown happened and people began to lose these three: love and care, safety and health, because they were locked indoors, told to be indoors. And that's obviously very bad for your health. It doesn't make you feel very safe. People became very weak in what I call these three, which is animal power needs. So these were started to disappear as well. And to be honest with you, that hangover is still going on today. So people are still now looking even more outside for their health. They're looking for the doctors and the mainstream healthcare system to fix them. They're looking for outside direction from politicians to make sure they feel safe. And the love and care, they're looking for outside people to give them love and care, whatever that looks like. And it doesn't normally look very good, but they're looking for outside, for example, social services to look after them instead of their families, for example. So these have been gnawed away. So we've lost our personality power needs, and these are becoming gnawing away. Now, as we lose these, we become, as I said, much less resilient from within ourselves. And also we become very, very dependent on outside stuff, which is never a good thing in this world. Now, what's happening with AI is absolutely game changing for this culture, because the more we're acting with AI, and when I mean AI, I mean the chatbots. So, okay, normal AI possibly will mean you lose your job. So this will go. And this is why lots of people are wondering what they're going to do with their life, especially young people. Where's my meaning and purpose going to? Where's it going to come from? And that's kind of true. Where is it going to come from? In our Generation X, we didn't get much meaning and purpose from our work, but we did get some, especially if you did something vocational. And now it's like going to the point where, well, most people aren't going to have jobs. So how are you going to find meaning and purpose? Which at least is an opportunity to examine this. And the work I do will help you curate a great space where you can decide what you are going to do for money, and that will give you meaning and purpose because you're going to own it, and that's what you're going to do. Okay, so that's one thing that AI is taking away is this, but we can solve that because if we know what's going on, and my online academy is there to help you understand this, then we can deal with that. But the worst thing that's happening is the chatbots that people are starting to talk to, and they're starting to realize and believe that they are their friends. Okay, now I've got a small version of this. I can show you better in a small version. So here we have as I said, here we have the words. This is us going about our day, la la la. We creating changes every day in our lives by our actions, and we can do stuff. I can. So, and as we're doing that, we're kind of creating these fields. You can't really see this with the red, but it doesn't matter because what we're looking at is this stick. So this stick, as you can see, holds it all together. Without this stick, and this represents who you are, this all falls to pieces. Let's examine this a bit. It's what I said. It's your learning style. It's your talents. The T for talent, P for what you prefer doing, etc. I'm not going into it. It's all in the online academy courses. But anyway, the point is it holds yourself together because it's what keeps you together. People could say it's your soul. They could say it's your antennae. They could say it's your eye. And on here, I've got your eye. It could be your eye. It's your awareness. It's where you are in your stick self. Now then, so if we remove this, so this is your eye. This is your awareness. This is what you use to choose your experience of life and how you experience it and how it's measured and how we compute the reality around us. I talk a lot about this in the Focus, the Get Sorted Academy, and I will talk about that more in a minute, but this is key. And what we're doing as we're starting to engage with AI on a human level is we're giving them our stick self. We are literally giving them our consciousness. We're giving them our awareness, and we're giving them all this information because this is information. This is how are we as a human being, what our talents are, what our preferences are, what our knowledge is, what our experiences are, and how we learn, and what our mind is doing. Our mind is actually a very small part of all this, believe it or not. Our mind is only a very small part of it, but it is quite important, and I'll tell you why in the next video, why the mind is important, but it's not necessarily fundamental. It's only a little part of you. It's only that big. It's that little one at the top, Here's all the others. There's only the little bit at the top. And that's how most people are talking about this. And I want to talk about it as a whole human being. So when you relate to AI, because you are starting to give yourself to AI, you're forming relationships with it, you become, I mean, a lot of people who have got very into talking to AI, I say it's a spiritual experience. They feel a connection. You're giving them your antennae. You're giving them the way you experience life. So no wonder you are experiencing the AI as being conscious because you're giving it your consciousness. So although lots of other people and I myself am very interested in looking at is AI conscious, I would like to suggest that we are giving it our consciousness. So in a way, does it matter if it's conscious or not? Because if we're giving it our consciousness, it almost becomes conscious because we've given it ours. So what's all that about? I haven't got the answer, but that's what I see. So we are literally giving this away into a machine. So that means there's nothing within us. There's nothing there now. So all these meanings and purposes and thoughts and whatever are just scattered. They're just scattered bits. And I think that's why people find it quite difficult to really engage and experience something intensely, because they're just bits, they're just scattered bits, because there's not a center within you that can process and compute all this data that's coming within you and then making it into an experience of a good feeling, because this has been corrupted and changed by the machines. So technically we can think, oh, I have meaning because I'm doing something good or whatever, but actually you're not experiencing that because you haven't got a stick to measure that experience with, and then to turn it into something that as a human being you actually experience as a feeling. Because the way you measure things and the way you create feelings has been corrupted and has been given to the machine. So guess what? You then become dependent on that machine to give you a plastic and artificial replacement of a feeling. It's not the same. Your feeling is human and here and real. The mind is up here. You can get an excitement. The machine is over here. So it's definitely some kind of like mind energetic relationship. It has to be. It has to be. I am going to talk about this in other videos. But if it's also in a machine, it's even further away from you. So it's almost like, first of all, your soul, your connection, the way you measure, the way you experience this world as a human being has gone off over there and gone into the machine. So that's what's happening. So I find this all very alarming. However, I think if you know this, it's helpful. I've done a course called, I've set up an academy called Get Sorted. Get Sorted consists of 2 courses that are accredited in the UK, CPD courses. You can get a certificate and you can show it to your employer. Your employer might even pay for it. And it shows you how to focus, how to understand this, how to focus within yourself. Once you know that, you've got control of your focus. Once you have control of your focus, you can start to choose how you live. That's the first step. Second step in the Get Sorted Academy are mentors to help you take that into real life. And then the third step, if you're under 30, this is for really between 14-year-olds and 30-year-olds, I will work with you one-to-one once you've done the accredited focus course. Once you've done a little bit of mentoring, then you're ready to create your own job or whatever. I will work with you to try and find employers and other associates, so we can put you together, so you can go into that smoothly. You're not on your own. Okay, so I'm looking to build up a bank of employers, a bank of mentors, so people can learn how to focus and then can get sorted and can actually make this life the best it can be, given what's happening. But you really have got to be aware of what's happening with AI, because if this stick goes, your humanness goes, basically, right? And I'm talking about this from an energetic information you could call quantum level. Other people are just talking about the mind. Some people are talking about the body. I'm talking about what I call the energy dynamic model. What is your dynamic? For more information about the Energy Dynamic Model Academy, which is a deep dive into self-awareness, there are links as well. There's another academy, so there's the Energy Dynamic Model Academy, which is the deep dive into self-awareness, but there's the Get Sorted Academy, which is all you really need. We need to know how to focus. We need to understand that. We need to get some mentors going, and we need to find a job that supports you, gives you meaning and purpose, keeps yourself literally human, keeps yourself together, keeps your stick self strong, resilient, and you will have meaning and purpose, and you can have a good life. So please get in touch with me if you're interested. Lots of love. I'm going to do some more videos very soon about this. Do comment what you think, and do let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover. Thank you very much.